Good morning. Happy Thanksgiving. Just wanted to give everybody a little video of the things that I've done to my Glock 43 to get it closer to that Glock Perfection. Uh, when I first got this thing, I thought it was going to be, money. I put it in my hands and it just, melts in there, and I thought it'd be great. And then I shot it, and then, whereas it was, great grouping and, accurate. However, accurate at about 4 inches low at 3 yards or 3 meters, and that's very uncharacteristic. And I was, man, what's going on, and I take a real slow squeeze and I can get it, right in on target. And then, when I'm shooting, you know, uh, anything more than target speed, it just, I just wasn't getting it. So I had to adjust my grip and all these other things, and it was a little slippery, and there were some other things that just really just needed to be improved upon. But now it's pretty perfect. So she clear. All right, let's move on. All right, so this is as it sits now. Okay, I'm left-handed, so that's why this guy's over here on the right side of the gun. Uh, so this is my very first stipple job that I've ever done on a pistol. I practiced on these magazines. So if you want to practice, the polymer on the Magpul stuff is vastly different. It's way different than the polymer on the Glocks. It's much more resistant to heat on the Magpul, and it's much it's more forgiving to stipple, but it's also a little more tedious and a little more time consuming. This is tedious work if you ever want to try it, but I do absolutely recommend trying it. I went with a big tip on here on the first, and I thought it'd work out. It's too big, it's too abrasive. It's just way too much. You want to go subtle. You can always start small and open it up, but it's hard to go the other way. So just finding what I like. So what I like is like this down here. This was great. So I said, okay, so I'll do that. And then I was going to do a little design. So I was like, let's try the Magpul symbol. So I did that in the Magpul magazine. And it worked out great on one side. And then I started falling asleep because, again, it's very tedious work. And that happens. It looks like my 7-year-old did it. So, yeah. But this here, this is awesome. This is pretty good. So I said, all right, so there's places where I'll put this and places where I'll put that. And I also tried on a cold steel machete, and the consistency on the cold steel machete handle, I think they say it's Grivex, or I don't know, whatever. Anyway, it's very close to the plastic on the Glock. So your mileage may vary, but that's what I found. And if you want to practice, I highly recommend doing this. It was easier than I thought it'd be, but I was kind of nervous about doing this and ruining my Glock. First time I did it. So let's see. Taran Tactical magazine floor plates are fantastic. It actually gives my pinky somewhere to go, and it keeps the rounds actually way more accurate shooting like this, because I have, I get big meaty hands, and all that has to go somewhere. So it gives it a place to go. Let's see. Vickers magazine catch. When I put it on the stock gun, I really didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. I was like, why? It's not much more extended, and it's a little slicker. It was, but after doing this little undercut, which I just did with 220 grit wrapped around a dowel rod, it worked out perfectly. And this now is better than the stock mag catch. The other thing I highly recommend looking at the mag catch mods that people do on YouTube. I won't cover it here because people have already covered it, and they did a great job, so there's no need for me to redo it. but you have to go on the mag catch on the inside and file down that little area where the magazine actually hits, because it will stop the magazine from going into the mag well and stop your reload. So a couple of other things that I did. I undercut the trigger well, as you see here. There's almost no undercut stock, so now it just fits wonderfully. I really like it. I stippled that area with a smaller tip than I did here. So I used a larger tip here and up here where the thumbs go, and on the front and on the back straps. And then I left this part open or smooth because, there's no need to wear out the webs of your hands. I do want to shoot this gun often. I'm not trying to, I'm not going to be wearing gloves every time I shoot. So, and then I also opened up the trigger well area and the trigger guard for gloves. It also helps my finger get on the trigger quicker. And because of the way I have to shoot this small gun, I also stippled the front here, because now I found that putting my offhand index finger over the trigger guard raises the torque from the isometric tension up higher to the barrel, if that makes any sense at all. But it doesn't, I don't have that, want to rotate the barrel down, especially when I'm squeezing the trigger, and it makes it much, much, much more accurate. So when I place my offhand, it looks something like this, instead of placing index finger over the middle finger. And it's way better. I'd show you if I wasn't doing this one-handed, but I'm doing this one-handed. Try it out. Your mileage may vary. One of the other things that I did, all right, let's see. As you can see here, I sanded down a little bit of the offside of the mag catch. And the reason I did that is because when I press the mag catch on this side, it pushes through and it wants to hit my middle finger here. And, again, that made reloads a bit awkward. So I sanded that down, and now when you push it up, let's see if we can get it. Yeah. See, it comes just flush, and it works out much better. It's not a pretty modification, but it's a much needed modification. The Vickers slide stop is, as far as I'm concerned, that's mandatory. The factory is it's too small, it's too close to the frame, and it's hard to work even when I'm holding it with my right hand. So at the range, when I'm trying to clear my weapon and show clear, I've got to swap hands and then awkwardly use my thumb. I'm very left-handed, so it's just very awkward. But this, I can actually use my trigger finger and it works fantastically. So if you're left-handed, this is it's mandatory, man. You got to do it. So there it is. One other thing I wanted to show everyone was this. This is my international handgun leather from Ian. Ian's awesome. It's great to work with. It's a great price on it, and man, this is some James Bond stuff. It fits. It fits wonderfully. And I couldn't be happier. Could not be happier. Carries great. Now that I've done the stippling, yes, if I'm not wearing an undershirt, yeah, it does rub right on into my love handles. So that's something that I'm going to have to overcome. But it's still worth it. The stippling, it's a difference of night and day. It makes all the difference in the world. I'm telling you. If you're nervous about doing this, yeah, you can pay somebody to do it. And there's some guys out there doing fantastic work. I wanted to see if I could do it myself. So, if you're the artistic type and if you're a little brave and you don't mind experimenting on your own gun, do it. But, in the meantime, practice. But there's some guys out there doing just much better work than what you see right here, because what you see right here, this is rookie stuff. The only other thing that I'm going to do is night sights. The trigger, thought about doing the trigger, but the trigger's good. I like it. I like it a lot. Some people might say, it's horrible, and your mileage may vary again. But to me, it's great. Maybe it's just really good on my gun. Maybe it's I've put 800 rounds through it, so it's only going to get better, as the parts wear in. But that's it. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think.